I'm Philip Bryant, and I'm with Assist Church Expansion, and we've been missionaries for the fellowship for 21 years. A long time ago, back in '97, we went up to Canada as a team to plant churches in Canada, and God had put it on our hearts to start a movement of churches. I knew probably early on in my salvation that it was God's call clearly to bring other people to know Him. But I had a call when I was in the Army, and I was leading people to Christ and discipling them, but I didn't really have a plan or strategy. God was just kind enough to let me lead people to the Lord, and started a little Bible study in the dorm and whatever, and it dawned on me that maybe I should think about ministry. I don't know, I might be a missionary, I might be a pastor, but I know I'll be leading people to Christ and discipling them. And so when He called us to Canada just to help start churches, that was pretty clear. We moved from Toronto to Vancouver, and we didn't know anybody. We really didn't know what we were doing. We connect with a Baptist church that's in the town, and then I say, look, we're looking for a church to hang out with because we're not going to plant this church for another year, maybe two. We go meet their elders, and their elders are like, yeah, how can we help you plant this church? This Baptist church helps us plant, at that time, a Grace Brethren Church, or Grace Church, and they gave us 30 other people, and God helped us launch Community of Hope because of that. I mean, how do you take credit for any of that? Like, that's all God. Well, I think that probably the hardest thing for me is the reality that people just don't want God in their life. And trying to, one, accept that, and yet still love people and know how to keep with them, even though it's pretty obvious they're not going anywhere. I live in a very, very, very secular part of the world. Less than 3% of the people in my community go to church anywhere. Forget being evangelical. They just don't go to church anywhere. So the desire for people to know Christ and want to follow Him is the greatest frustration I face. Sometimes the other thing is we can blame ourselves and even blame the church. We could criticize our church or criticize our leadership or our structures and say, well, we're obviously not doing it well enough. But there's also a reality to the field and the soil that we're in. And coming to terms with that, not that you decide, well, we're not going to be able to reach everybody. Hopefully we're still going to reach people, but it's going to maybe take a little longer. So when you're reaching out, like next week, we have a big outreach in our park program that we do every year in our community, and 300 or 400 people come out to it, and about 180 kids, and it's really great. We've yet to see very many kids actually come to Christ. We've been doing it for 10 years. We've seen very few families come to our church because of this major outreach where we touch them and love them all week long. And then our people kind of lose energy to be motivated to go and serve in that engagement because they're thinking, what's the point? How do you motivate your people when they don't see maybe the fruit they're looking for? And how do you stay motivated with the right spirit and right heart